In our first reading, it says that Jesus came to free those who through fear of death have been subject to slavery all their life. He's here to free us. And the fear of death, death. I don't like to talk about death, but it's the reality that we all have to face. And in different cultures back in the past, you experienced a lot of death. In our culture, it's because we're able to prolong life longer. We don't see death as much. Back in the days, it was normal for a family to experience the death of their child or a couple children at one time. It was just something you frequently were exposed to. Where now, we're not as much. And so death has this clinging fear to it. And back in the days, people, because they were so exposed to death, they knew the fragility of life. So they depended on God more. They saw that life was more a gift, not something to take for granted. There was always this fragility that they were aware of, where we kind of become so accustomed that some people don't experience the death of their parents until they're in their 60s now, which was very unusual at one time. So death is something that can cling to us, cause us fear. And then what do? We can drown our fears through alcohol and of death, or we can try to be so conscious about our health. We're overly conscious about our health, but we all have to face this reality. But the good news of it is that Jesus has faced this reality for us already. He's gone through it. He's gone through it. We don't have to have the fear of death to drive us into slavery any longer. We don't need to have that. It's the Lord who is our authority. It's the Lord to whom we are slaves to, in the best sense of the word. We are the Lord's, not death, not the fear of death. That's an idol. Let's smash it now. Smash that idol of fear of death. He took death and he made it into life. He says, I have come to bring life abundantly. We're people about life. And the beauty about the saints is the saints had such this awareness of how Jesus destroyed death by his death that they didn't fear it. The saints took insults and they would have said, thank you very much for insulting me. I am a sinner. I deserve it. The saints had this acceptance of suffering, and they said, I'm going to make profit out of this. Give me arthritis. Lord, I'm going to glorify you in this and make it profitable. Had this, you could say they were like hummingbirds. Saints are like hummingbirds. They're sweet. They're little. They're able to draw nectar from any event that happens in their lives. And hummingbirds, they can flap their wings like 80 times per second or something. And yet they can stay so focused on drawing the nectar. And that's like the saints. They're so focused on the love of God. No matter what happens, they can stay focused on that. Because they see everything through the gift of faith. And the last point I want to talk about is how we're not alone. That Jesus entered, this is so beautiful. He himself was tested through what he suffered. He is able to help those who are being tested. That no matter what we go through or will go through, he's been through it. He's experienced it. I mentioned before how Cardinal Newman says, even sin, the experience of sin. Now Jesus is sinless. But Cardinal Newman says he closed the doors of his divinity to experience the effects of sin. To experience all sorrow, all pain, everything. To take it upon his sacred humanity. He allowed that to happen. Why? So he could be in solidarity with us. To show you there is nothing that you will experience that I have not experienced. Of course, he's sinless. He's the one who's immaculate, sinless. But yet he takes on that experience of the pains and effects of sin because he loves us. So please never feel alone. Please, whatever you go through, know that Jesus has gone through it and he's with you in it, accompanying you in it. And that's the way, when we have that faith to realize that, that's where we can go through things with serenity and joy and acceptance and magnanimity. That's a big word, magnanimity. That means largeness of soul. That means we're thinking of others more than ourselves, even in the midst of suffering. That's the largeness of soul. So thank God for Jesus. Thank God for this good news. That's all I can say. Let's approach this Eucharist and say, thank you for being with me. Thank you for the Eucharist. Thank you for the light in the darkness. Thank you for conquering death by death. This is tremendous good news. And I'm part of it. And I'm happy about that. And I want to share it. So let's thank God in this Eucharist today.